No one ever gets a knock on the door of success. Rather, it awaits those who soar above the others. If you want to avoid being disciplined, click snooze every time you give up on the day's progress before it even starts. Every time you snooze through your alarm. What, you want authority? If that's the case, you should meet the day before it arrives. Please understand, it all starts in the bedroom. So you think you can conquer the world if you're not able to overcome the coziness of your blanket. A ritual of power. Your first hour is more than simply a habit. Your biggest asset is the mental energy you use first thing in the morning. Yet most people waste it on mindless activities like browsing, sleeping, or doing nothing at all. No, you are not. No more. The day doesn't begin for the winners. They choose how they want to begin their day. As others daydream, they ascend. They plot while the rest of us slept. As others want, they move. Take charge of your mornings if you want to have control over your life. I will say this without sugarcoating it. You can't expect to be disciplined about your job, your objectives, and your life in general if you're not disciplined when you get up. A new day brings new discipline. A leader's morning routine is not the time for procrastination. Early risers are purpose. No amount of pleading can satisfy purpose. We must take action. You make a daily declaration of war against weakness by rising early. Excuses are your enemy. On a typical day, you declare war. You can get by with only one or two tactics. When you master the morning, you master your thoughts. Thus, it's important to seize the day. Nothing can stand in your way once you master your thoughts. Do more than just wake up tomorrow. Ascend the flames, ascend with precision. Get up and move about as if your whole future is riding on this, because it is. Do not sleep in. Get a head start on the day. Make a change. I appreciate it. Please, defeat is not some colossal setback that just appears out of nowhere. It grows slowly, steadily, and undetected in your routines and seemingly little decisions. Even before you set foot on the ground, you face one of the most perilous decisions. When the alarm goes off and you choose for ease rather than dominance, this is what occurs. Your bed is more than simply a place to sleep. Traps, quiet enemies, or gentle, comforting prisons posing as peace are all possible outcomes. Plus, using the snooze button does not put off waking up for a few more minutes. You are putting off being really great. No longer will you stand. You are honing your ability to let go. I fight every morning. It's you versus your comfort-seeking, slow-moving version of yourself that prefers things to remain the same. Early risers don't care about the clock. What matters is that they take charge of that same moment that they sense the opposition yet get up. Nonetheless, what matters is power. Before the day even starts, you should take ownership of it. It's about deciding that the discomfort of punishment is better than the discomfort of guilt. As soon as you open your eyes, a negotiation for your future begins, and the majority of people end up losing. They rationalize it by saying it won't harm to wait 5 more minutes, but eventually that becomes the norm. Patterns become who you are, and who you are determines where life takes you. Do you honestly believe that champions awaken by chance? Do you believe that pioneers, game changers, and A-listers just get out of bed whenever the mood strikes them? No. They are aware that the world doesn't wait. Therefore, they get up before they're ready. Seize opportunities when they arise. An era of greatness is upon us. You may learn to win or lose in bed. The bed is irrelevant. Your identity is formed in the early hours of each day. Are you sensitive to emotional cues that indicate vulnerability? Will you succumb to ease? Otherwise, are you more like a soldier who stands tall? Are you the kind to get up and show yourself that you mean business, not to anyone else, but to yourself? You stake a claim on your life when you rise early. People are squandering time, but you're buying it. Time is on your side when you stack it. Rather of letting your emotions, exhaustion, or worries dictate your actions, you may teach your intellect to take charge. You train your body to obey your will now, to move only when you make the conscious decision to do so, rather than when the going becomes easy or when you're in a state of natural relaxation. Consider how the majority of individuals begin their day hurriedly, reactively, and distractedly. They get up at the last minute, freak out because they haven't been dressed and run amok. So much for living. It's called survival. It's a mad dash. It's just ordinary behavior, masquerading as vulnerability. When you keep on living that way for an extended period of time, you begin to believe that's all there is to life. But you'll stand out from the crowd if you get up early deliberately. Prior to the noise, you create a stillness. To establish the tone, you must allow yourself room to prepare, train, ponder, and reflect some more. Throughout the day, the tone reverberates. If you have a solid morning, you'll have solid choices. Nothing is distracting you anymore. There is harmony in your energies. You've achieved victory even before everyone else wakes up. Getting up at a certain time is not the point here. It's all about taking charge of your initial choice. The second becomes much easy if you master the first. True momentum exists. It increases. Mornings that start off will often end up being quite fruitful. An efficient morning leads to a concentrated afternoon. A productive afternoon leads to a satisfying night. Such is the life of a champion. That is the way conquerors function. The world's wealthiest individuals obsessively protect their mornings for a reason. Reason being, they are aware that those who are open to everything but dedicated to nothing never achieve success. People who are very protective of their timetable and who hold their mornings in the highest regard will be the ones who experience this. Keep this in mind the next time your alarm goes off and you feel the small voice urging you to remain in bed. That is not your voice. It is the adversary. That is the sound of average telling flattering stories. That is anxiety masquerading as solace. That is the epitome of surrendering to the need for acceptance. Additionally, your ability to remain calm under duress is honed with each listening session. On the other hand, you get a stronger and newer sense of self with each rejection and subsequent assent. I refuse to give in to sloth. I disregard my emotions. The mission is my guide. The topics of inspiration, motivation, and hustling are popular. But if you can't conquer them, if you can't win the first battle of the day, then it all becomes meaningless. You can't cut corners. The truth is out in the open. A single reality exists. You have the choice to either climb or stay still. You have two choices: master your comfort or submit to it. No matter how cozy the bed is, your fantasies will remain on the other side of self-control. Before anybody is even looking, you need to get up and make an appearance. You differentiate yourself from the ordinary in that way. That is the path to an unbreakable will. When you do that, you will rule your life with each passing dawn. You won't be warming up for the first hour of your day. This isn't a warm-up for when the actual job starts. Here is where your mindset, concentration, motivation, and future are shaped or lost. Upon waking up, it's more than simply opening your eyes. You are about to engage in a struggle for dominance, clarity, and control in the hours to come. There are those who fail to grasp it. Morning comes stumbling into their lives as if it were nothing out of the ordinary. However, the first hour is sacrosanct to those who lead, dominate, and win, just because. Your character for the next 23 years is shaped by how you spend the first hour of your life. The speed, tone, and rhythm are all determined by it. If you don't start strong, you'll inevitably start to slide. No middle ground exists. Your fate is either improving or deteriorating. You forfeit your power before you've even had an opportunity to use it when you start your day responding to the world emails, texts, and diversions. You give in to distractions, time constraints, and the needs of others. Pursuing rather than producing consumes the remainder of your day. Getting by, not flourishing. Most people live that way, and then they ask themselves why they can't seem to break free. Everything changes, however, when you master your first hour. You greet each new day with a blaze of determination and a clear sense of purpose. In your own mind, you have already won, so you advance with purpose. You've prepared yourself, mentally chosen your path, and built your self-control well in advance of any potential disruption from the outside world. That's a powerful tool, not only an admirable habit. For the most part, individuals act as if their morning routine is completely negotiable, adaptable, and unimportant. Upon awakening, however, your intellect is at its peak. You have the strongest willpower. In that initial window, you are able to think clearly, concentrate intensely, and make judgments that count. Spending time mindlessly reading through social media, sleeping in, or engaging in activities that don't challenge you or lead to personal development is like tossing away your most valuable weapon. You are entering the arena of life unprepared and unarmored. You aren't strong enough to react powerfully when chaos strikes, as it inevitably will. Rather of rising to the level of your aspirations, you ascend to the level of your readiness. In the first hour, you will be trained. Here, you may remind yourself of your identity and the reason you are here. Connect yourself with your objectives and mentally prepare for battle. This is not a spot for solace or hesitancy. Rather, it is a platform for elevating standards and dismantling excuses, for reinforcing vision and rejecting weakness. There, you may establish your competitive advantage and differentiate yourself from the crowd. You need to start with purpose if you want to be unbeatable. Get out of bed, get moving, and train your mind. Don't only get up and go about your morning, demand it. Inhale concentration and exhale uncertainty. Take charge of your inputs. Dictate your speed and block out any interruptions. Take your time, be strong, and remain unmoved, because the impression you make in that first hour will carry over into all of your subsequent interactions. Difficulties and choices. Success comes to those who start building their power early on. Rather than waiting to feel ready or motivated, they create it. Instead of looking to the outside world for guidance, they forge their own path. They understand that the first hour is the actual act of greatness, not just a warm-up. Reading a page, doing a rep, sitting quietly, writing a sentence, thinking precisely all of it fuels your objective. It sharpens your intellect to a point where it effortlessly cuts through resistance, distraction, and uncertainty. You can't expect top results if you lower your standards. Doing the first hour is the beginning of the labor that generates power, and you can't acquire that feeling without doing it. It's the place where you show yourself, not sometimes but daily, that you mean business. Power flourishes in an environment of consistency. Now your first hour is priceless. If you want to develop into an ambitious, respected, and results-oriented leader, you must use it to your advantage. You are alone with your decisions and the time. There are no tricks or quick cuts. The remainder of your day will either be filled with momentum or weighed down by mediocrity, depending on how you handle the first hour. Movement is not the same as development. Wake up and show up are not the same thing. Being awake is not the same as being alive. You have to take charge of your mornings if you want to really live your life and not just exist in it. No one gets power from the world without a price. Preparedness is rewarded. Those who take charge early will be rewarded. In the first hour, you have a choice. Either you control it or it controls you. Power is something you either gain or lose. Each morning, you get to decide. Those who wait will never succeed. Those that get early, get moving, and take action before everyone else even gets out of bed will be the ones to reap the reward. Successful people are already doing action while others are mired in fantasy. Inspiration, drive, or approval aren't something they're holding out for. On this day, they are not wishing for a favorable outcome. They are ensuring that it does. There is more to the dawn than meets the eye. The powerful revere it as holy ground because of the power it holds, for the simple reason that they have figured out what most others miss. Your beginning is directly proportional to your ending. Prior to that point, it's not just background noise. They serve as the starting point. And if you don't charge forward, the rest of your day will be a struggle. Passive individuals wait. With bated breath, they await revelation. Just wait until the perfect moment. A new day, a ringing phone, or orders from above are all things they patiently await. They surrender control when they allow the world to define their pace. The successful never do things that way. They make the most of the morning, since it's the only time of day when they can hear themselves think and move freely before outside noises and distractions start to interfere. Getting up at the crack of dawn isn't necessary to rule the mornings. The key is to seize control of the day's most precious, unutilized area. When you're at your peak physical, mental, and emotional health, that's when you should strike. It's at that stage that you engage in the kind of in-depth analysis, concentrated planning, and hard thought that the ordinary person never gets to, because they are already overloaded, behind, and reactive by the time they begin. The prosperous don't check their phones first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, they see the reflection of their future selves in the mirror. They don't launch applications. Rather, they launch their agenda notebook and objectives. They focus on their task rather than alerts. It is not passive in the least. It is a combative and purposeful way of living. This is the mentality of a hunter. Someone who seizes what is rightfully theirs, rather than sitting about waiting to be fed. Most people can't help but marvel how the wealthy and famous manage their time so efficiently. It is easy to understand their morning is their own. They utilize the wee hours to get a leg up on the competition. By midday, those who have been successful will have accomplished more than the majority of those who have been unsuccessful all night. They have prepared by reading up, making a priority list, and now they are acting with precision while everyone else is rushing to get going. Dominance is silent, orderly, and exacting. And that is just what the morning offers: the tranquility and peace necessary for pinpoint accuracy. The morning is reserved for the serious, and here is why. For the simple reason that nobody else is interested in it. Nobody else is willing to battle against lethargy and forego the luxury of a bed. However, those that succeed get an advantage that cannot be replaced, replicated, or passed down. Earning it is essential. You won't have to pursue the day. It will obey your instruction when you master the morning. Being busy isn't an issue for you. What matters is that you're successful and not wasting time playing defense. Your offensive is based on three things: clarity, confidence, and momentum. Winners move like this, not by responding to life as it happens, but rather by becoming ready for it in advance. There are no justifications in the wee hours. You may either stand firm and powerful, or you can remain pliable and let your weaknesses define you. The true test begins with the sound of the alarm. It's all about that. Not in opposition to the bed, but rather to the part of you that wishes things remained unchanged. The portion that can't get enough of being comfortable, easy, or average. You become stronger with each passing time. You defy that voice and rise to the challenge. A new persona begins to take shape inside you. One that is unstoppable because it is disciplined and purposeful. Nobody ever gets anywhere by being clumsy, hesitating, or unmotivated first thing in the morning. They may not always do things in the same way, but they do share ownership. Their morning is as much theirs as a general's command of the battlefield. Their every action, second in thought, is calculated to bring about their desired result. That is the way outcomes are constructed. Consistency is developed in this way. In this way, legacies are made. The unsuccessful see time only as a means to a goal. The prosperous see time as an investment. Your morning is the best investment you can make. Your RRL is at its peak there. At that point, the compound effect starts to take hold. Not in a lofty choice made years from now, but in the ruthless, stealthy choice to get up and move with purpose when everyone else is fast asleep. Look no further for ways to cut corners. Forget about finding the ideal time. No, it won't. The best time is when you make the decision to be in charge. That time always comes first thing in the morning, and the future is shaped by those who seize it, protect it, and control it, not by those who are lucky. It takes more than a flash of inspiration to write one's destiny. The world is still sleeping as it is constructed in the early hours of stillness when no one is looking. And it's just you against all the reasons you have ever given for not doing anything. Everything that happens when you wake up is determined by what you do in that area. The actual fights take place there. Not in front of a live audience on a stage, but in the stillness of a chilly morning when it would be more comfortable to remain in bed. Delaying is easy and being ordinary is easier. Major events do not mark the beginning of discipline. It all starts with little choices. A day begins with a choice, and that decision is the most crucial. Whether you choose to wake with purpose or succumb to comfort is up to you. It is up to you to decide each morning. You find yourself at a crossroads the second the alarm goes on. Either get up and go ahead or remain still and fall further behind. That's not a fleeting moment. There's a tendency. Moreover, patterns mold personalities. Personality influences choices. Destiny is shaped by decisions. Superstars aren't always born with more natural ability, social capital, or good fortune. Their level of discipline is just higher, especially in the most critical situations. In what context is it most significant? In the midst of complete stillness? In the morning, in an environment free of scrutiny, applause, and expectations. The groundwork is established there. That's the test of your character that you put on yourself. Morning discipline is not about scolding. It's all about getting ready. The key is to seize control before external forces may derail you. It's all about fortifying your mind. Why? Because you can channel that energy throughout the rest of your day. When you begin it on your own terms, with purpose and accuracy, your diet has improved. You have better focus. Your every step exudes assurance. Why? Since the first fight has already been won by you. That triumph will serve as a linchpin throughout your life. Determination is what people want. Discipline is instantaneous. Their work is constructed. Their feelings are unimportant to them. Their promises are important to them. Inspiration is transitory. Feelings may easily shift. The morning is discipline. Plus, your morning routine is the best place to lay the groundwork for an unmovable foundation for your life. Be prepared to take action even before you feel prepared. Get moving before you're at ease. Do what needs doing, even if it's unpleasant. That is self-control. The first step in realizing any goal is developing self-discipline. Everything gets simpler in the long run when self-control is cultivated from a young age. You get stronger, not because the road becomes easier. Your ability to withstand opposition grows. You get better at maintaining concentration when things become hectic. You respond, not react. Instead of swaying, you take charge. The capacity to exert self-control is the source of true strength, not in the speed with which you act after things are underway, but in the speed with which you initiate when the going becomes tough. The temperature drops, the air is still, and there are no witnesses. Daily self-control is like a mirror. Your principles, expectations, and level of seriousness are shown by it. You aren't serious about wanting excellence if you can't maintain a 5 a.m. pledge to yourself. Saying you want to lead is meaningless if you're unable to even get out of bed. Patience is the evidence. You can see that your vision isn't empty rhetoric. There's constant, unrelenting motion behind it, even when no one is looking. True freedom is not the ability to do as one pleases, regardless of the cost. Rather, it is the capacity to fulfill one's duty, regardless of the difficulty. Freedom is the opposite of discipline, and the first way to enjoy that freedom is with early discipline. You come to the realization that you should not be swayed by your emotions, but rather by your objective. Comfort isn't my master. Principle is moods don't motivate me. Purpose does. That change is crucial. That mentality separates mediocre performance from outstanding results. Rather than being a matter of chance, a person's destiny is something that may be claimed on a daily, hourly, and daily basis, with each choice being your exam. The winners are those who get up, who push themselves, and who construct their routine like a stronghold. They were more fulfilled not by what life offered them, but by what they offered life, and the discipline began first thing in the morning. Being a mission person is more important than being an early riser. In addition, non-negotiable discipline is required if your objective and aspirations are genuine. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, first thing in the morning without fail. If you can't master the morning, you have little chance of mastering the rest of your day. Habits and not hype are what you need. Luck isn't necessary, repetition is. Concentration, not more time, is what you need. Plus, it all kicks off in your morning. You find your identity there. There you may mold your destiny. Their fate takes flight. No amount of pressure can eradicate procrastination. Just because the clock is ticking or the stakes are high doesn't mean it dies. When purpose awakens, it dies. When one is ready to stop squandering time. When they have resolved that the life they want and the future they imagine cannot be compromised. Thereafter, hesitancy disappears. Justifications fall apart at that point. At that point, motion goes hand-free. Reason being purpose is instantaneous. The unfocused suffer from procrastination. Uncertainty, solace, and lack of resolve are its diet. It flourishes in thoughts that are aimless. But there's no wasting time when purpose arrives. Get your bearings with a clear purpose. It improves eyesight. It improves the quality. You won't even have to pretend anymore. When you have a clear goal in mind, you won't need external inspiration. Simply take action. Take action. You strike. You carry out the action. For the simple reason that it is important, procrastinators aren't necessarily sluggish. They're not really clear. What they are prepared to endure is uncertain. They have not yet zeroed down on a goal that requires their undivided attention. Mission takes care of it. Maintaining focus in the face of adversity is the essence of purpose. This is the voice telling you to do it right this second. Don't think about how convenient it is. When you're exhausted, it won't budge. It remains vivid even when other things beckon you. That is all that is left. Ultimately, your sense of self is shaped by whatever is left behind. What makes action non-negotiable is purpose. It eliminates the possibility of later. Because being indecisive is treachery, when you have a clear sense of purpose and identity, someone else is taking action for every second that you pause. Somebody else is constructing. The thing you're trying to prevent is being ground to dust by another person, and you will not allow it to occur if your objective is genuine. Accurate timing is not necessary. Unrelenting urgency is what you need. Extra comfort is unnecessary for you. You should be more determined. Everyone acts as if time stands still. Time seems to be limitless to them, but goal-oriented people are wiser. They embrace each day as if it were a golden chance. Nothing moves them. They aren't carefree. They seize the day with all their might, knowing that it will determine their fate. That is the function of purpose. You become a threat to everything that might hinder your speed as a result. Before it ever says a word, it eliminates procrastination. Procrastination wins every time. Avoid negotiating with them. Doing the necessary tasks before your brain can argue is the surest way to kill it. Doing rids one of uncertainty. Delay is silenced by discipline. However, such things only have teeth when they serve a function. Discipline becomes a burden in the absence of a goal. Discernment becomes a tool when used with intent. Being able to act independently of others is the ultimate strength. Being focused on a purpose that surpasses your emotions is what gives you that strength. You don't need an alarm clock when you have purpose. In the dark, when no one is looking, it's what keeps you going. It's the driving force that overcomes your fears, indolence, and reluctance. Your justifications will eventually crumble when your argument is solid enough. The how becomes easy when you know why complex but straightforward. The majority of individuals never confront the reality of their time, which keeps them mired in cycles of procrastination. Life is so brief, and they've never really sunk into it. However things alter the second you do, the luxury of someday isn't available to you, you know? Here it is, today is yours. Also, your potential will decay in the cemetery of nearly if you don't use it to your advantage. Procrastination desires that. It seeks to keep you preoccupied, perplexed, and quiet. All of it is crushed by purpose. Purpose provides direction. You get organization from it. It empowers you. You don't just magically become amazing. Success isn't something you stumble into. The choice is yours. It is your declaration. Regardless of your mood, you must perform the task each day. Killing procrastination is as simple as that. You can overcome your fears and heart palpitations if you force yourself to accomplish what you've been putting off. You keep pushing through the obstacle until it finally gives way. You repeat the process tomorrow as well. Also, the next day, that is until waiting is no longer an option. Extra time is unnecessary for you. The truth is lacking in your writing, and the reality is like this. You lose the opportunity to create the life you want with every second that passes. You can't let any justification stand in the way of your future success. Not even you can bring down that wall. You must do it yourself. The hammer is purpose. The instrument is purpose. For me, purpose is the inner voice that tells me to accomplish something, not going to waste any more time. Foxing purpose is impossible. Impossible to lend it to you. Locate it, please. I urge you to choose it. As soon as you do, you need to do everything in your power to keep it safe. The old you, the one who puts things off, who questions, who runs away, will not make it once your destiny awakens. That model perishes. A persistent individual then emerges to take its position. Someone concentrated, someone indestructible, someone who realizes their fate will not wait and stops procrastinating. A compromise is impossible. A morning may either be yours or it might be yours to own. The rest of the day is shaped by that first hour. This is when the strong distinguish themselves from the frail. Being an early riser is unimportant. Being self-disciplined is key. If you give yourself permission to slack off in the morning, you've effectively started the habit of making excuses. And the second you give in to making excuses, you give up control of your life. Not in front of an audience or under bright lights, but first thing in the morning, when everyone else is fast asleep and the bed is warm, is when true champions are born. There the conflicts start. Plus, you won't be racing against the clock. Fighting your own frailty is the name of the game. Just 5 more minutes, nobody will notice. That's not a problem, says the sluggish voice. However, it is significant, because your approach to each task determines your approach to all tasks. What gives you the impression that you can conquer the world when you fail to conquer yourself first thing in the morning? Taking charge of the morning isn't a catchphrase for inspiration. It must be done. Your dreams are unimportant to the world. It makes no regard for your level of exhaustion, the length of your day, or the rationale for your absence. Live for the outcomes, not the causes. So you can either get up and do something about it, or you may give up and do nothing. Moving forward is facilitated by one. One leads to feelings of remorse. There are always going to be reasons. Not a problem at all. They make sense. However, they are only shackles that confine you to mediocrity. Furthermore, the most perilous ones do not seem to be falsehoods. They make you feel at ease. Get some sleep. You should get more rest. We'll get to it later. That voice is trying to tell you to be kind. And the more you pay attention, the more you lose touch with your potential self. However, that voice is silenced when you take control of the morning. Preemptively responding to its every move allows you to put an end to its chatter. To really own the morning, you must begin your day with purpose, clarity, and power. My phone isn't something you look at. No scrolling required. You remain still. You are in control. You alter your position. You build. Simply said, it is the role of a leader. Their first priority is to lead themselves, not anybody else. And the beginning of leadership is before dawn. Changing your behavior is the first step toward living a life you've never lived before. As soon as you open your eyes, that start. Success is a daily event for those who master the morning. Their lives aren't easier. That's why they've learned to avoid showing weakness in negotiations. And that's why. Feelings are not a factor in their decision-making process. They base their choices on the person they want to be. They aren't going to be the kind to hit snooze either. The person they're evolving into isn't one to provide justifications. They materialize. They actively pursue it. They amass winnings well before the majority of people rise from their beds. Daily self-control begins with rising early. Sunrise is the time when self-assurance grows. You can strengthen your mind first thing in the morning. The most challenging times come at that time. At that point, you'd like to do something else entirely. Choose action above comfort every time, and you will become stronger. First, you have to trust yourself, and it is on this trust that your success will be built. Adding additional inspiration won't help you. Have greater respect for yourself. Becoming someone who always gets the job done is an important character trait to cultivate. After squandering their mornings, many fail to notice when the remainder of their day is a disaster. At the outset, there is disorder, diversion, and postponement. The next 12 hours are spent chasing after their tail. But when you master the morning, you'll have a head start on the day. You're the winner. By now, you've shifted. The most difficult aspect has already been overcome. Everything else is now only a matter of execution. You can't leave a lasting impression with an excuse. There is no rationale that can improve your health, intelligence, career, or life in general. Only self-control can. Reliability is the key. And that reliability is predicated on something. The first thing in the morning is always where it all begins. You will lose out on the opportunity to rule if you ignore it. Get it wrong and you'll be playing catch-up in no time. If you fail to notice, your justifications will take control. Lack of self-control is an illusion. Purpose is impossible to conceal. You may choose to live it or not. The distinction is well known across the globe. Your outcomes are aware of the distinction. The scoreboard is always accurate. Alter your starting strategy if you're unhappy with the score. Strive to be proactive rather than reactive. Don't sit around and hope inspiration strikes before the day can drag you in every way. Get up and become a force. If you want to own the morning, you have to own your life. This is the choice to stand up instead of cower, to construct, instead of put things off, to struggle instead of give up. There is no adversary in the alarm clock. It's a formal request. What matters most is how you respond. The choice is yours. Own the moment or let it own you. Either you get up or you remain rooted. Either you succeed or you come up with a new rationalization. However, be aware of this. Whatever your cause may be, the day doesn't care. Absolutely not. Furthermore, you will spend your whole life attempting to justify why you failed to achieve your full potential because you choose to make excuses rather than take action. You must choose your identity immediately. Is getting out of bed for a reason? Something you do? Who is in charge first thing in the morning? Who takes charge and enforces rules? Who creates without receiving praise? Is it you who is patiently waiting? Who is the one who hesitates? Who gives in to ease, who accepts a life below their capabilities and thinks it's normal? Although you may not be able to influence every aspect of life, you do have power over the way you begin each day. The decision you make first thing in the morning might be your strongest suit or your worst flaw. Master the art of rising early and staying focused. When you master the morning, you master your time. Master the morning and the future is yours to choose. The moment you eliminate all justifications at daybreak, there will be no turning back till sunset.